what the government does is takes a certain basket of goods and they check what the prices are on the basket of goods. And so that's food and energy and housing and a bunch of other stuff in that basket of goods. It's defined. And then what that allows us to do is to see how much have prices risen year over year. And what we all need to understand is that, right, we all don't like paying taxes, right? Nobody likes paying taxes. And when you hear the word taxes, we all are like, shudder. I don't want to pay taxes. Well, inflation is just another form of taxation because it's not really about the money you make. It's about the buying power that you have. If I made a certain amount of money, but it costs 10 times more just for me to live, doesn't matter that I made more money this year than I did last year. I have less buying power. So like for all of us, we need to understand that inflation is just another form of a tax. And it's something that as an economy is not a good thing. As a country, it's not a good thing because ultimately what inflation does is it hurts those who are lower on the economic scale, those who maybe can't afford to, pay for the gas that week that might take them to a certain place. And what it also does is, especially when you have the ability to borrow money, especially if interest rates are still historically actually pretty normal. They were much lower before. When you have the access to borrow and you can borrow for rates like we have here in the United States, which is way lower than other countries, it separates the haves and the have-nots. And so you don't want to have a society that has haves and have-nots. Income inequality is not good for our country. Inflation leads to income inequality. And so if you're thinking bigger picture, why this is a big deal and why the government's number one job right now and the Fed's number one mandate is to get inflation down is because, inflation is very hurtful to our overall country. It's not sustainable and bad things will happen to it. When I say it's not sustainable, I mean, people will really be hurting a year from now if we don't get this under control, even more than they are now. But the potential here and the reason why the Fed is raising up interest rates so much and the Fed is saying, listen, I don't care about the pain that our economy has to feel is because if they don't get this under wraps, inflation becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and businesses and people start to expect that this is what things should cost. And when that happens, it's very hard to go back. And so that's why the Fed is raising interest rates so much is to avoid the self-fulfilling prophecy that can take a much longer and much more painful process to wind back.
You did a real good job of making me really scared of inflation.
I think we should be scared of inflation.
Yeah.